Once again, we want to welcome you all here. We have today Junot Diaz, Pulitzer Prize winner for The Wondrous Life of Oscar Wilde. We have Héctor Piña, who's an entrepreneur from Boston. He owns Vejigantes, a merengue restaurant. And we also have Dennis Benson, the first Latino vice mayor of the city of Cambridge. So if you could all welcome me and giving them a round of applause. The committee to elect Pavel Payano thought that it was critically important for us to try to inspire the voters of Lawrence with the upcoming elections on September 9th. We decided that bringing these individuals who have been involved in politics, who have been involved in our community, to come and speak about the importance of this election. We are about 10 days away from September 9th, and the only way we can reach victory is with assuring that every resident of Lawrence who's registered to vote goes out and votes. This is the first time that we have an opportunity from someone from Lawrence to really win this election, but we can't do this alone. We need to unify behind Pavel Payano and assure that on September 9th, we get our family members out, we get our friends out, and we vote. We're here today. We're going to give the floor up to Junot Diaz. He's going to talk about why he's here. We're going to allow Héctor Piña to speak about why he's here and why Dennis is here, and express the urgency of inspiring the Lawrence community to go out and vote. We're also going to have Mayor Dan Rivera and Pavel Payano present them with the keys of the city of Lawrence. I'm going to go ahead and start the ceremony, opening up the floor to Héctor Piña so that he can express to you who he is and why he's here today. Thank you.
Señores, muy buenas noches. Perdón. Okay. Muy buenas noches, muchas gracias por su presencia. Esto es un momento muy importante, no solo para la ciudad de Lawrence, sino para el estado de Massachusetts. Ahorita decía en la radio que me emocionó bastante cuando venía para acá y vi tantos nombres latinos en campaña. En los años anteriores eran nombres angloamericanos, especialmente italianos. Ya la comunidad latina ha reclamado su posición política en la ciudad de Lawrence. Pero las campañas políticas se ganan con dos cosas: se ganan con voto y se ganan con dinero. Ustedes tienen que asegurarse que todos sus familiares salgan septiembre 9 a votar y asegurarse de que hoy ustedes donen dinero a esta campaña, porque es sumamente importante las cosas que se pueden hacer con el dinero de sus donaciones. Ese es el propósito principal de este evento esta noche. Tienen que estar muy orgullosos la comunidad de Lawrence de un joven como Pavel Payano, que representa lo que representan los hijos de nosotros, inmigrantes, que llegamos a este país con una maleta de sueños y hoy tenemos un hijo que está tratando de llegar a la casa estatal del estado de Massachusetts, en Boston. Señores, llamen a sus familiares, llamen a sus amigos. Es importante el voto, septiembre 9. Muchas gracias.
It's a pleasure for me to introduce everyone who's here today, but it's an utmost pleasure to introduce Dennis Benson, someone who I've reached out to on countless occasions and never has said no. He's always made himself available and willing to support whatever cause is in the betterment of a community. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming Dennis Benson, the Vice Mayor of Cambridge, the City of Cambridge.
Buenas tardes, buenas noches. I wanted to just thank Juana. I want to thank Pavel Payano. I also want to thank the owners of this wonderful restaurant. This reminds me a lot of Cambridge. The culture reminds me a lot of Cambridge. And I just want to tell you this, that I love Lawrence. I love this city. And I love the people of the city, and I wish that I could bring the people of the city to Cambridge with me. I want to just say a couple words. You know, the first thing is that in 1996, I ran for the state legislature out of Cambridge. And back in 1996, there was not one Latino that had been elected to the State House except for one individual from the South End who was not serving at that time. So we had no one from our community representing us, whether it was in the Senate or in the state legislature. we have a great opportunity now to elect somebody from Lawrence to represent our community. But what's really exciting about this is all the young people that are in this room and all the young people that are excited about electoral politics. We're not going to be successful as a community unless we do a couple of things. One is that we've got to emphasize the importance of voting, and we've got to instill that in our children. It took me 4 times to running for public office before I got elected. And I ran twice for the state legislature. I ran once for the state senate, and then I ran last year for city council in Cambridge and was elected as the vice mayor of the city. And so it takes a lot of determination, it takes a lot of persistence to do this. And it takes a lot of sacrifice. And so, we come from a community of people that work extremely hard. And we come from a community of people that care a lot about their culture and about their history. And we have a wonderful opportunity on September 9th to elect Payano, but it's really going to take all of you going out into your neighborhoods after today, knocking on your friends' doors, calling everybody that you can, and we need about 7,000 votes to win this election. And that's going to take a lot of work. When Elizabeth Warren ran for the United States Senate, she received a tremendous amount of votes from Lawrence. And she probably owes her victory to the city of Lawrence. Over 20,000 people showed up to vote. And many of the people that voted in that election were Latinos. Here we have a young man that's Latino. A young man that's working incredibly hard. He's got a great staff. He's got a lot of support. But he can't win without you. And I know that more than a lot of people, because when I first ran, as I explained, there were no Latinos in the entire state representing us in the State House. And so we have a moment to begin electing more people like Pavel, but also bringing us together to work together on the issues that are very important to us all. Creating more housing and making sure that we have more economic opportunities. We have an innovation economy in the city of Cambridge that surrounds many of the housing developments. And none of the people in those developments have work in any of those companies, whether it's Google, Facebook, or Novartis. And the reason why they don't have work is because we have to do a better job of training our children around science and technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. And so Pavel understands that. He's someone that serves on a school committee, he's someone that's worked in our schools, so he knows firsthand how important education is. And he knows that if our kids are going to have access to this economy of the future, that they have to, study hard, they have to work hard. And so he's someone that is going to be able to instill really good values in our children, and our children are going to look up to him. The most fulfilling thing about serving in the city of Cambridge is walking through my neighborhood and seeing a little kid, 5 years old, run up to me and say, "Mr. Vice Mayor, how are you doing today?" Because they're not accustomed to seeing someone that looks like me do what I do. And that's really what he brings to the city of Lawrence. The kids are going to look up to him and say, "I can do it as well." And so we have a very special moment to elect somebody in the city of Lawrence, and it's a tremendous opportunity. It's a great honor to be here with all of you today, and my hope is that you will leave here today, call all your friends, knock on doors, and let's get him elected, and let's elect him.
I have the pleasure of introducing to you a fellow Laurentian, someone who knows Lawrence, who grew up here in Lawrence, who then took his career, went to the Harvard Law and administered the Latino student organization. He now is the executive director of Milagros para Niños. So please join me in giving him a warm round of applause, Darío Collado.
Hi everyone, it's a pleasure to be home again. It's a pleasure to have my friends here supporting a great candidate in Pavel and supporting the bright future that is our beautiful city of Lawrence, Massachusetts. Thank you for being here and continuing to support an amazing candidate in Pavel, because he's really going to represent all of our great interests. And the last thing I want to say is I love this place. And the fact that my good friend Juno Diaz is here supporting Pavel, it's just a beautiful moment, not only for me personally, but I just love my city, and I want to make sure that we represented in the best light possible moving forward. So thank you so much for being here.
And we went ahead and we put up that Junot Diaz was coming to the city of Lawrence to support candidate Pavel Payano for state senate. And everyone wanted to come and volunteer. Everybody was responding to our Facebook messages. Everybody was calling us back. So I know many of you are here today because you want to meet Junot Diaz and you want to get your book signed and you want to get that picture. But we hope that what you leave with today is that we need you to be civically engaged. That we need you to come to 199 Essex Street in the next 10 days and give us an hour, 20 minutes of your time, so that on September 9th, we can be victorious. I have the pleasure and honor, I'm a fan of him myself, to introduce to you all Junot Diaz, Pulitzer Prize winner for the novel The Life of Wonders Oscar Wilde.
Thank you. Yeah, first I wanted to thank Juana for putting this all together. She's kind of she's just one of those unstoppable forces, you know. I think it's strange to belong to the Dominican community because often the people who you see, like, you know, in the newspapers or you see on television are rarely the people who make our communities possible, you know? I mean, we spend so much time with peloteros and, you know, bachateros and just fucking crazy politicians, present company excluded. I think that we often forget that our community only exists because of the tremendous work that so many of the women do. And it's entirely, all the candidates, I've been involved in people's campaigns for many years in New York and up here with Dennis. And I've got to tell you, these campaigns wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the women behind. Yeah, and so it's sort of an extraordinary thing, especially when I'm in Lawrence, you know. You walk around Lawrence and you realize if you got rid of all that ingenuity and hard work in the salones, there would be like not a dollar in this town. You know? So I wanted to thank Juana tremendously for this. Really, you are like one of those people with special genius, and I can't wait to see what else you do in the future. I wanted to thank all the folks who made this event possible, and I wanted to thank all of you who came out. Yeah, it's sort of a weird thing. I'm known to people mostly as an artist, but actually, before I was an artist, I was someone who did and still does a lot of community work. Yeah, that's been sort of my identity for longer than being an artist has. And it's a strange thing for me because I come from one of those Dominican families where you were absolutely discouraged from any kind of civic engagement. I'm straight up, my family was the most cynical, the most suspicious, the most negative. And I mean, it'd be hard for me to communicate to you. Even voting was ridiculed in my family. People would literally say, bueno, ya tú perdiste una hora con esa mierda. And I definitely come from the tradition, and those of us who work, you know how common that is in all of our communities. Really, it was sort of a kind of just a warped view of what would be possible if we come together as a community. And I gotta tell you, when I was young, it was very difficult for me because I was the kid who had a full-time job and going to college. I went to Rutgers, a state school. And for those of you who are working full-time and going to college, you know that the last thing you have energy for is to do any kind of community work. And I used to hate doing my community work. But there was a part of me, even in those days, when I used to work in a steel mill. It's like, it's hard to remember that those jobs used to be available. but I used to work at a steel mill, which is a super dangerous, super hard job. And then I would go to classes at night. And then I would do my community work. And I used to absolutely hate doing it, because I always felt like I was just so goddamn tired. But what I remember and what always compels me, and what I kind of wanted to touch here about an evening like this, is that every time I would listen to my family talk so negatively and so cynically about the possibilities and the dreams of hope, of community work, of voting, of supporting candidates, of working in your schools, of working in your towns, when I heard my family talk that way, I always knew deep down that if I couldn't find the hour or two to do that work, even when I was working in the steel mill, even when I was taking college classes at the same time, nothing would be possible. We would have absolutely no opportunities as a community for transformation. Because guys, there is no way, no possible way, without leadership and without civic engagement, that communities like ours, many of them poor, many of them working class, many of them working poor, are going to get a fair deal out of this country. It's just not going to happen. And so, I guess that's the thing when I think about, I don't know what it is. I suddenly started feeding it back. Yeah, and so this is part of the reason I've always been involved in so many campaigns, and part of what I kind of want to urge everyone here. Guys, most of you are probably so goddamn busy. Most of you have got like mad family to take care of. You probably got like crazy boyfriends and girlfriends you gotta mess with. You got your own families, you got jobs. But you know, if even a third of you gave Pavel an hour of your time next week, he wins. He just wins. And I'll leave you with this. I mean, the thing about Pavel is I've been sort of, since the beginning, I have been following this young man's candidacy. This young man has energy, he has the ideas, and he has what's most important for our communities. He has that utopian hope that we can change things together. And this, for me, is absolutely essential. So I want to urge, most of you people here are already converts. Y'all gonna vote for him, right?
Yeah.
Because you know I actually come to Lawrence a bit. So I will see you on the street and be like, yo, did you fucking vote for him? I will fuck with you, man. I'm like, man, and if you think you can lie to me, you have not met my family, yo. I am like a fucking mentiroso whisperer, yo. You come with that bultero shit, I got you. So vote for my man, yo, and make your future possible.
Thank you for such an inspiring message, Juno. I want to give the floor to our next state senator, Pavel Payano. But before I do, every day I go to our campaign offices. I'm there 20 hours a day. And the reason I continue to be there is because I know I'm investing my time in someone that is worth it. Someone that truly cares about his community. Someone who's truly dedicated to the cause. And without further ado, please welcome me in welcoming Pavel Payano.
Before I begin, I just want to thank all these amazing, amazing leaders that have come out, that have gone out of the way, coming all the way from Boston to speak to you guys and to inspire you to come out to vote on September 9th. And I'm so grateful for all your kind words. So if I could just have one more hand of applause to the individuals behind me. And of course, my campaign couldn't be run without the people working on it. So my campaign staff and an amazing young woman, Juana Matias, who has been behind me, has been pushing me. I saw this thing on Instagram that said that behind every great man there's an even greater woman, and it's so true on this campaign. Juana, thank you so much.